Am I okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to like...
You're out of the frame there.
And then go like wait for some people to show.
Oh, you have 4 people.
I have 4 people.
4 people.
Toss a comment down in the section if you can hear me. I got my wife helping me out. She'll be keeping track of the stream, reading out questions and stuff as they come up or whatever. We'll give people a little bit more time since I don't know if it's quite 7 o'clock yet, but even then. Can you hear me? Is everything sounding okay? Is it loud enough? It's going to get real echoey in here.
James Lapka says the sound is fine.
Awesome. About 1 more minute, and I'll kick off with a funny little story that I invented for the start of the class. This is going to be a class about fakes and feints, just some basics surrounding it. With me, Belthil, I'll go into the intro a little bit more. Yeah. As you can see, I have a lovely pel in the form of an easel with my shield on there. All 4 of the striking quadrants covered, real easy for teaching.
So Andrew Altmeyer said the sound is fine.
Awesome.
And Parker Sestrick says, hail from North Columbus, Ohio.
I was born in Dayton, Ohio, actually, so sweet.
Frank Grimes smartly pointed out, don't hit the door above you. We won't have a garage door anymore.
Yep. It's a good question. No jumping. Should be okay, otherwise. Alright, I'll go ahead and get started. So, this is a class put on by me, Belthil. I'm primarily an amp guarder. I'm a sword knight out of Polaris. Been in the game for 8 or 9 years now. Long time. I started out in Dragonspine, New Mexico, at Pegasus Valley. And then I met a bunch of the wheel bros down there. Became part of Sir Anatol's line, along with Shion, who was a squire at the time, and then got to see Shion graduate. Wife and I moved up here to Minnesota so she could become a doctor. Let's talk story about some fakes. Picture the scene. You're fighting Sir Zion's older brother David. This dude is legendary. He taught Sir Zion everything he knows about the money shot, and you know it because you've been hit with it 10 times already. So, you square up to fight another round with him. He sinks real low. You know exactly what's coming. He's going to throw for the money shot again. You're standing nice and tall and proud with a smirk on your face. David leaps out at you. You jam your guard down. Boom! The shoulder. But I knew he was going to throw for the hip. What is the sensation? What happened? You just got faked. So, what is a fake? Fake is literally a fake shot. Just, you going for a shoulder wrap, that's a full shot, fake. Oh, stop short. Some people differentiate between a fake and a feint. I think Xian explained it best. A feint is more of a total body movement, a lot of footwork involved. So where a fake would be something just like a quick pump down, a feint would be more something like raising your body up with a little bit of movement to try and sell the attack is coming without involved. I don't differentiate too much. It's all the same idea of trying to get somebody to think you're attacking them. Something else that typically goes along with that class that Xian and Brett usually teach, which is fakes, feints, and baits. Highly recommend taking that class if you ever have an opportunity. If we ever get out of coronavirus and have Sword Night Boot Camp again in the future. Awesome class, very cool. But in this, I'm not going to be covering the bait so much. So this is going to be just a lot of fundamentals around fakes in particular, just as a subset of that. Okay. Sorry, I got some cards. My wife is helping me out, but they're a little stuck together, and it's chilly out here. You didn't notice in Minnesota we have snow on the ground right now, and I think it's like 36 degrees or something. So we're still enjoying winter apparently in the middle of spring. So why would you want to fake? To make it simple, it makes it easier to hit your opponent, period. That's it. That's the whole goal, is for you to create an opening using your fake attack to hit them somewhere else. Another important aspect of a fake is it keeps your opponents guessing, because now they don't have as much confidence in reading you or anticipating what it is you're going to do. So we'll cover a little bit more of that later. But right, okay, so what are some good, easy ways to think about fakes? So, boom, you have a pump fake. It's an abbreviated motion. Again, like, say you want to go for a sweep butt wrap, it would come all the way down, circle around, whack, whack. The pump fake version of that is going to be just the very start of it, something that you can recover from easily. Just drop down, pump, pump, pump. If you want to go for that shoulder wrap, again, same thing. Whole shot, looks like complete extension of the arm, wrapping around the top, hitting them back on the shoulder. The fake is going to just be a pump up, stop, right there. No wrap, no nothing, just pump. High cross, same thing. Just pump into their face. Same level that you would normally strike at, stop. Don't continue, don't snap over, no body movement, no nothing. Just throw, I suppose that would be a sword side hip fake in James's book, because you're not dipping down quite as low. So just pump down if you want to fake for the sword side hip. Normal sword side hip. Pump fake. Versus the money shot, you drop down way low like Eric, Xian, and hit around their board getting super low. Probably want to be more of a motion like that, because that's what people are used to seeing. And the idea with a fake is you want it to look like what you normally throw. So again, pump fake for that. If you're Xian and you throw a big time money shot, it's going to be low, probably more out, away from your body. Speaking of body, next kind of fake that you have would be something like a body fake. So, not moving the sword very much, just standing in place, dip, dip, either side, dip. Or roll your body with it like a boxer or something like that, dodging punches. And then I did a little bit there, didn't mean to, but next thing up will be a footwork fake. Super effective, just like in basketball, you come it up, oh, fade away. It's all footwork. quick little direction change. Hopefully without the slip. There are also a couple other kinds of fakes. One of them I see a lot in ant guard, and I don't think it's quite as effective. The other one I basically don't see at all. Both of them stem from the same thing as to why they are possible, but why I think they're less effective, and that's because they don't represent what a normal shot looks like for most people. So a lot of people in ant guard will sometimes throw a stomp fake, something like that. They're just like, hop, stomp, stomp. They square it up, they just stomp at you. They don't do too much else with it. And for most people, when they're throwing a shot, they're not stomping with their foot, right? Like I don't come up, if I'm going to throw for a big shoulder wrap and I don't plant my foot super hard with a big audible stomp and then go for it. It's just going to be something quick where I snap.
Belthil, there's a question for you. Amanda Gillen was wondering which fake would be best for beginner sword fighters to recoil from.
Probably the body fake, simply because your body muscles are typically a lot stronger and it's a lot easier to just twitch your whole body. Pump fake, I feel like a lot of times people have a tendency to overcommit on their fake. They'll go too hard, too far. They'll end up putting a lot more strain on their arm muscles and stuff like that, and they'll get themselves caught up. Because, say my shot, the whole thing looks like that. If I come too far with this, pumping out, I'm still going to be a lot more vulnerable than if I were just moving my body, keeping my guard in place and shifting around. So pumping opens you up a little bit more, puts more strain on a lot of your arm muscles, and if you go too far with it, it's going to be a little bit more dangerous. Footwork fakes, I highly recommend watching Anatol's stance class that he just had a little while ago, but footwork is extremely important, and having a good base surrounding your footwork takes a lot of time to develop to get comfortable with that and what kind of movements are going to make people think you're throwing a shot. So I think that that's probably a little bit more advanced. So I think just quick body positioning is a good way of trying to sell a fake for somebody who's a little newer. If that answers your question, awesome. If it doesn't, then you can feel free to put another message and be like, stop, wait, go back. And then the final fake, again, simply because it doesn't represent shots that happen in ant guard, but it is something that is possible that I think could work, or people could at least try, would be a verbal fake. So the idea of ki or battle shouts happens a lot throughout all kinds of other martial arts, but in ant guard, it's not. I startled my wife. Maybe there's more effectiveness to it than not, but normally in the course of combat, people aren't shouting so much. I mean, in battle games, wizards point and shout at people, and maybe in battle games, if you come running up behind somebody you know, and you're yelling at them then, they'll turn around scared and freaked out, and then you can have your way with them, take them, just hit them a million times if they're in a ton of armor or something like that. But yeah, so I think that the verbal fakes and the audible stomp fakes, a little less effective. What ant guard fighting entails, or what a lot of fun fighting entails. Okay. So, there are three big basic principles that I want you to keep in mind throughout all of the fakes that you ever throw. So there's going to be this concept of misdirection. Imagine this shield, and imagine there are planes that you're trying to attack. So, if you're trying to attack the lower quadrants, coming to the upper quadrants first for your fake, going to be good. You want to attack the left side, coming over to the right side before you go to the left side is going to be good. The idea of faking to the opposite side of where you ultimately actually want to hit. So, misdirection, big one. That is going to be the thing that makes a fake probably the most effective. Next thing is going to be move. Now, movement is important because in fighting, standing still is probably a death sentence, and the more you move, the more it's going to do something called selling your faith, making it more believable, making those people want to bite and think that it's going to be a real shot. If I just stand here, I come up, and I do the pump fake, that's okay. A lot of people will probably buy it, but they might not necessarily have as pronounced as of a reaction, right? Like they might twitch their body a little bit. They got their board. You pump fake for the shoulder. That's not going to be as good as if you're moving to that side and they feel a lot more threatened. They're going to move their guard a whole lot more, which is going to open up more of the target zone that you're looking for. So move your feet, again, always. Just misdirect. If I'm going to go for that top shoulder over here, probably going to fake down here first. What does the shot that I normally throw look like to the money shot? It's going to be So I'm going to throw down over here, shifting my feet like I'm trying to get there. Then after the fact. And then the next thing that is extremely important with a lot of fakes is timing. So the concept of timing, again, when you're doing stuff, the idea of fights typically having like a tick-tock rhythm is how I think about it. So you throw a shot, they block, they throw a shot, you block. Tick-tock, 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 tick-tick, tick-tick. Don't get into that just 1-2 rhythm with them. As well, when it comes to fakes, depending on who you're fighting, is going to depend on how hard you're going to have to throw that fake. Some people, if they have really good, really sharp reactions, and they are aware of a lot of deadliness that you have with your repertoire, you know, Eric, again, the money shot, he probably doesn't need to fake super hard against somebody who knows him really well and who's very keen to that shot. Just a little twitch, right? If you don't have much experience fighting somebody and they don't know you very well, it might have to be more extreme than that. So instead of just a little twitch, you might have to step and throw more of a pump into that in order to get them to believe that you're going to throw that shot. The aspect of it, the rhythm of the fighting with how you've typically been going with this person and what the best that rhythm is going to be. So, what makes a good fake? I talked about it a little bit already, but a good fake to me is anyone that actually works and gets the person to bite on it like they think you're throwing an actual attack. So the ability to sell the fake. If you can sell a fake, it's way easier to hit them, obviously. The more they bite, the more open they're going to be, more susceptible they're going to be to whatever attack it was you were leading into with your fake. Knowing your opponent, again, we just talked about that a little bit. If you know who this person is, you know their tendencies. Oh, I know Belthil. He likes to throw high crosses and he likes to counter-strike a lot. And he likes to back up. You can take advantage of that with what you're going to do with the fake. You can be like, I'm going to fake, make him think I'm throwing somewhere where he can take advantage of that high cross, and then I'm going to come up and dark side him, Morpheus, and murder that sword arm that comes out.
I don't know why. It just... We'll see if everybody joins. You had one other comment that I was going to read you. So, is that a cat in the background? And can we see it? I didn't know he was so loud. Well, hopefully people will rejoin.
Yeah.
It just all of a sudden went to that other side.
Whip.
I'll let you know when people are back in. Oh, we have one person.
Sorry about that. It cut out for some reason. I don't know. My cat was meowing too much. Yeah, sorry that the stream cut out. I don't know why. Wife didn't touch anything.
It was not my fault.
It just ended. Maybe I lost Wi-Fi because I'm out here in, the garage or something like that.
Hi, Adeo.
Adeo.
It looks like people are starting to join. 9,
Cool.
10. So.
Okay, where were we? I was talking about, knowing your opponent, knowing what their tendencies are, or just being able to... Delos was covering this in one of his other streams, where you can usually tell some things about your opponents based on their equipment. This isn't universal, but it's just a higher likelihood, right? So if they have, nice looking gear, they have a Warlord Sports, they have a high quality sword, they have a Shion Special made by the mustache man himself, no more mustache, then they probably favor fighting. They might be more susceptible to a lot of twitchy fakes and stuff like that. So that's another way that you can know your opponent, but that's a little bit more in depth, is looking at the analysis of what your opponent can tell you simply by how they're standing. That's pretty out there. The next thing you can do is take advantage of previous successes that you have. So if I'm Isaac and I've punished somebody 100 times with a shoulder wrap, they're probably going to be attuned to the fact that, I need to protect my shoulder more. So, pump fake the shoulder, and they're going to be scared because they've been hit a lot because you had past success. And then, money shot.
And Christian Kendrick commented, we have those who can make good sticks and those who can swing good stick, but you rarely get someone that can make a good stick and swing a good stick.
Shion.
And Amanda Gillen, I believe, yes, asks, what type of fake do most people fall for? Or most people fall for.
There are a lot of good fakes out there that typically work, but probably the most common fake that people are going to fall for in terms of just a general principle fake is going to be the shoulder shot in Sword and Board, or some kind of stab fake in Florentine. Because in Florentine, what they're nervous about is the fact that they have 2 sticks, or a stick and a flail, and they don't have as much defense, right? The big sword or the big shield in the way, it's going to make it difficult to be susceptible to a stab. Not impossible, just less likely that you're going to get stabbed.
Anadol's watching.
Oh!
Hi, Isaac.
So, in Florentine, less defense, more susceptible to a stab. Stab is super quick. So faking a stab in Florentine, super effective. In Board, everybody loves a good shoulder wrap because it's powerful shot. It's high gain. You get the whole full rotation of the body and everything. It feels great when you finally do hit somebody with it, but people are attuned to it, and they know how to block it really well. So faking for the shoulder is going to make them try to block it. I think those are probably 2 of the most effective fakes that people will fall for. Okay, now we're going to talk about the concept of how do you capitalize on all of these fakes. And the difference is, or rather, that base concept is going to be something I call 2s and 3s. So a 2 is going to be a single step fake. Again, so I'll go high cross, butt wrap. 1, 2. 1, 2. A 3 is going to be after I get a little bit of success with that fake. So 1, 2, faking for that butt wrap that I probably just hit that person with a couple of times. 1, 2, 3. Again. Or 1, 2, 3. So 2 is going to be just a single fake. A 3 3 is going to be something that you throw probably after you've had a couple of good successes with one of your fakes. You're going to throw a second fake into it to really get into their head. And then after you get a couple of 3s on them, where you've programmed them one time, shoulder wrap, money shot. That's 2, shoulder wrap, money shot. 2, shoulder wrap, fake the money, off the shoulder again. That's a 3. Fake, fake. That's a 3. Now they're not confident at all. You can start opening up a lot more when it comes to that. So 1 fake is a 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So yeah, that's when it really starts to pay dividends, is when you get to the place where you can throw a couple of 3s on somebody and you can go back to just throwing a normal shot. You can go more than just 3s, like Eric might have some 10-point fake or something like that. He's like, oh, and weasels his way up into you and then murders you, 10 other shots after that. But I find it's probably a lot of wasted effort, and you probably only really sold them on one of those shots when it became a lot more deadly, whenever you get close or something. Did it stop again?
No.
You sure?
Somebody just said the stream seems to be done, but I think it's still watching. Or it's still going. Can anybody comment and say, is the stream working?
Yeah. The stream's still going? If not, having some difficulties then.
Because the screen didn't change this time, but it was a comment.
Little red dot still there?
The little red live, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Still okay?
Nobody said either way. It's working.
Okay, cool. So, that's the concept of 2s and 3s. Now, let's get into some practical application of what this looks like. This is going to be some easy fakes that I want you all to take away from this and add to your toolkit so you can come away with something. So, for single, something that Brett does a lot or always advertises in his class, especially in single sword fights, because in single, you have just this one sword, right? So you can do a lot of things where you'll come in for an attack, but sometimes if you try to throw too exaggerated of a fake, you're just going to end up getting hit instead, because you have the least amount of defense out of all the styles. So what does Brett do? He shocks people with his hand. He just, and throws his hand out, and then hits them somehow. So, hand movement. Hey, how's it going? Money shot. You can just come up here, hand, money shot. For whatever reason, people really bite on movements of things. It's like their T-Rex or something like that. I do it, everybody does it. But a hand movement like that can sometimes elicit an attack or just confuse people, because like, what is this dude doing waving his hand around everywhere, right? Same thing, or another effective single fake would just be something where you come in with a pump, with your feet, and then come back and try to snap on the arm. So, pump, rotate, snap, right back onto where their arm is. So, let's look at that and think about it in terms of our principles, right? So, we have a pump. It's going to the same side that we want to throw to, but is it really? Because we step like we're going to snap over here, rotating, making people think like, oh, is he not actually going to go for this shot because you pumped, you went for another pump, and then you snap. So it's a 3, but we're moving and we're going to the opposite side in terms of what we're trying to make them think, so we can come in and snap.
Belthil, you have a question from Annette Hine.
Yeah.
It says, if you're the other person who's lost their confidence in shot reading because your opponents are that good at fakes,
yes,
where do you start rebuilding that, and what do you see as the counter technique to fakes?
So a good counter technique to fakes is going to be attacking them, right? Because what are they doing when they're faking? Usually they're being vulnerable. They're going to come up. If they're in sword and board, they're extending their arm outward trying to do something to make you think that they're attacking. Innately, without compromise, every time you attack, you are opening yourself up in some way, shape, or form to also being hit. It's trying to minimize how people can hit you and take advantage of the fact that you're hitting them first in order to get a win. So when you're faking, even if it's just a little bit, you're still opening yourself up because a lot of times you're taking the first move. So where I would start is try to counter-strike them or try to initiate instead. If you've lost confidence in your defensive abilities, try mixing it up and getting in their head by going offensive instead. So if they're, they constantly are throwing a fake, they're first, just 1, 2, 1, 2, step in, attack yourself instead. So that would be mixing your game up instead of just letting them do whatever they want to you. Make sense?
You have another question from Christian Kendrick.
Yes.
It says, question, law of diminishing returns, is the 4 shots really worth it? 3 seems really complex.
No. 3 shots, 3 shot would be what I would say is a good limit in terms of the fakes or the number of fakes that you're going for. So just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Usually 2s are going to be effective enough to get most people. The reason that you start mixing in 3s, where you throw 2 fakes and then the real shot, is because they become acclimated to the fact that you're throwing 2s, right? So if you're just sitting here and you just always pump fake money shot, or pump fake shoulder shot, or pump fake butt wrap, or fake butt wrap, scoop up, come to that shoulder for a high cross. If you're always doing 2s, that's a pattern, and people adjust to patterns. And if they are adjusting to patterns, then they're developing game plans of how to combat you. So going from pump fake high cross to pump fake high cross butt, back and forth, even if you stick to those 2 fakes, and you do them just kind of not in any sequence, not where you're going a 2 to a 3 to a 2 to a 3. You go a 2 to a 2 to a 3. That's going to mix up your game, and that's going to keep them guessing. One of the things that happens, especially at a lot of high-level fighting, is people adjust. It's about how quickly you can adjust to your opponent, right? So the more mix-ups you have in your game, the more likely it's going to be that they're going to take more time to adjust to what you're doing, which gives you an advantage.
Okay, and Justin Gardner asks, I found the most success with fakes when I use my body movements instead of sword movements.
Yep.
Have you found similar success with body fakes?
Yep. So I really don't think it's just a matter of body fakes or pump fakes or footwork fakes. I think it's a lot of all of that. However, there is one thing that definitely always seems to work, which is why I recommended it earlier. And that is a lot of power gets generated from the movement in your body. And that means that people are going to inherently understand, with enough practice in fighting, that big-time body movements usually means big-time shots. So if I want, Glenn, again, was talking about a lot of the kinematic chain, right? The idea of generating power from the ground, through your legs, through your hips, in your arms, out into your sword. So if I'm coming up and I'm trying to wrap somebody on the side with my sword, big time body movement. Big movements sell a lot of shots. So while I would say that, the most effective out of all of it is going to be some kind of blend of how you're doing it. So throwing a little bit of an arm twitch in there, rotating the body to sell it all together instead of just relying on one of those 3 aspects. The body is probably the biggest, most important part, so I would agree here. So, next practical example, Florentine. Again, going back to that rhythm of tick, tock, that happens a lot in Florentine. Taking advantage of that tick-tock in order to tick-tick instead. So it would be, I'm going to go for a butt. Shoulder is really appropriate, right? So it's not happening at the same time. A lot of people are going to take their two sticks and they like to slash simultaneously if they're relatively new players because they think, oh, two swords, twice as much attack. People, a lot of times, are just going to back away from something like that. So you're looking for a way to create a more inviting environment as opposed to just going crazy, because if you just go crazy, again, people are going to be like, I don't even want to bother fighting that. So, tick-tock, 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 pump, shoulder, pump, shoulder, pump, shoulder. Let's look at that, and again, apply the principles to it. So, with two swords, it's really easy to sell that whole, I'm attacking the opposite of where I actually want to hit. Because you have two swords, you can literally do that. So I pumped, I moved, got them on the opposite side of that plane, pop, pump, pop. The movement, the break in the plane, it's at least 2 out of 3. Next one up on the Florentine chart that I think is a really good fake is the mathematician. Teo has a sweet video of doing this. So, again, I was talking about this earlier. In Florentine, something that people are worried about a lot is getting stabbed. Less guard, easier to stab. A lot of people come from a low stab trajectory. Stab, trail this one in behind, stab. Look at that. Look at that sweet equal sign right there. That's why it's called the mathematician. You can thank Teo. So, stab, stab. 2 stabs, twice as effective on Florentine because they have less guard. They're probably going to be like, ah, and block down, and then the other stab comes in from a higher trajectory, boom, right in the chest. You can do the same thing the other way, it looks cooler because, you know, the DBZ finger touching thing and everything like that. So, I think those are probably the 2 biggest kinds of fakes that you can throw in Florentine. Would just be any kind of stab fake into a shot, any kind of tick-tock. Pump, shot. Now, we get into my favorite. Board and play. No. Sword and board. So, something that Delos throws a lot in sword and board, that he gets a lot of people with, is going to be a shoulder shot into a sword side hip shot. So, shoulder shot, and he'll throw it a little bit differently too. He'll start with his board foot forward. He raises up like he's going to throw the shoulder. Then he will take a step through and hit the hip. That's a really good one. So, again, you're raising up, attacking the shoulder, you're breaking the plane. Your actual goal is going to be that hip down there. Raising up, taking a step through, so now you're moving way off to the side, making them even more scared. They're more likely to rotate, and then pump the hip. Just raise up, draw. Next up would be one of my favorites to throw because I really like high crosses. So it's going to be a scoop, like you're coming for their butt, into a snap, into the high cross. So just scoop, you're not throwing the entire wrap. It makes it a really nice flowy motion. You could just stop and pump and come for a high cross, but I like the flare. So scoop up, snap. Scoop up, snap. And then, see what I said. Dark side to shoulder. Right. That's a good one. So, the dark side coming under the board, trying to hit their arm. So, dark side to shoulder. Dark side to shoulder. Now, I'm attacking Midsection, not necessarily going for the money shot. You can come up higher, like you're targeting their arm, and going for the shoulder. That's still breaking at least one of the planes. It's not going to be as strong as if you sell them on the opposite side, right? So if I did fake down there and then come up, it might be a little bit stronger. But something that I like with that fake coming up and then popping is the fact that I'm going to probably elicit some kind of high cross or something like that. Or at least I might stop them from doing a high cross if they recognize that it's a dark side. It's pretty similar to a double board side. So a double board side is going to be something where you come in with that audible pop. That's not the fake, it's just a shot designed to get them tied up. So pop, drop under, like you're faking for that dark side, and then come up and hit them in the shoulder again. So it's just, you actually hit, cross under, immediately go back up. And it's the little under that's going to sell a lot of that double board side. So board, board. I think those are some good fakes. So, anybody got any questions or anything? We'll move on to the final aspect of this class, which is going to be how do you take all of these concepts and what are you going to do with them going forward in your fighting? So, for the application, I want you to start thinking about the concepts that I've covered here, the principles, the different types of fakes, and start applying those in a way that will get you multiple different fakes with the same shot ending and how you can throw those. So it's not going to be just board side to money. It's not going to be just butt wrap to that, right? So you have a goal of hitting somebody with a high cross. What are a bunch of different ways that you can do that? So again, you could go for that board side and then snap over to the high cross. You've broken one plane. If you're circling to that side, they're probably going to buy it, and you can still hit them in the shoulder, or in the sword side shoulder with a high cross. Same thing, if you want to get them with a money shot, there are a lot of different ways that you can fake somewhere on the right side to eventually hit them in that hit. You can pump fake down low, like when you hit them in the butt, and then still come just to the other side. So, pump fake, snap. Pump fake, still snap. As opposed to always going for that combo. Same thing, you can threaten a lot of movement without necessarily faking that shot and still selling it. So, come up, oh, you can just curve your sword down into their hip and work it like that. Something else that Delos does, again, going for that hip, is the DDS. So the DDS just looks like you come up with your board. Suppose I should put this on. He loves to throw 5-1-2, which is just that shot. So you throw that shot like you're going to hit it. They probably block it if you just throw it cold. And then a lot of times people have a tendency to step in. So you spin again. Same target. What did you do? You hit, you made them step in. This is more of a bait, but it still is accomplishing the goal of getting back to that location that you're trying to hit. All right. So with fakes, one of the most important things that you can do is build your combos from the ground up with this kind of information in mind. Because a combo is going to be more effective, in my opinion, if it has a fake. Does that make sense? Because a combo is just a series of shots, right? You don't have to throw it in as the only thing that you do in your combo, but having it be part of your combo in there can definitely be strong. So, high cross, board side, fake, board side. That's a 3-shot combo. I only faked once, but it still was in that combo, and it probably made that combo a lot more effective. So try to keep in mind throwing fakes into all of the combos that you're doing. Yeah, I think that's all I got for talks on fakes. Anybody else got any questions? Anything else you want answered? You want to see some more safe fakes or something like that? Otherwise, I very much recommend watching some of the other videos that we put out. Keep an eye out because Shadow and Xander are going to be doing a talk about pole coming up soon as well, which I got to do an intro video for that, courtesy of Noah. So, bye.
Six pin shot.